Well, hello there, my fellow American. With only 3 games left in the NFL, and playoff basketball still months away, you might need something to fill that hungry sports hole in your dark, dark heart. So I would argue that there's no better time to get into the NFL of England. And as the Premier League is now halfway through the season, we have a large enough sample size to know who are the pretenders and who are the contenders. Which means I can give you a cheat sheet on who to bandwagon this year in the Premier League. So make it easy for yourself. Do like you did in school. Cheat off an Asian. And since I'm Asian, I'm going to explain it into the way that comes most naturally to me, by giving pretty much every team in the Premier League a report card grade for how they've done so far this season. And even if you have no prior knowledge of the sports that the Brits also call football, have no fear, because I'll get you all caught up, and by the end of this video, hopefully, you'll understand why I gave the 2-time reigning champions of England a C grade. Welcome to a Clueless American's report card of the Premier League, mid-season edition. But before we begin, like FIFA, you gotta pay some bills. This video is brought to you by Manscaped. Hey guys, this is your #1 Fat Asian, and you might have noticed in these videos that I seem a little bit more happier, and that's because I've been getting my sucked more. The #1 complaint my girlfriend has is that I haven't been trimming the hedges, but thanks to Manscaped, she's complaining no more. So that is why you have to go ahead and get yourself a Lawnmower 4.0. And you already know about this, but in order for them to go down there, you have to look good up here. Which is why I'm excited to give you guys a sneak peek at the Beard Hedger by Manscaped. This bad boy is a 7,200 RPM motor with a titanium-coated T-blade that can cut through the thickest of hair in a single stroke. And no more messing around with a million link guards. It's a single guard that can do 20 different hair lengths, and its unique design has a comb that lifts up even the most annoying flat-lying hairs. It's waterproof, cordless, and rechargeable, so trim in the shower or on the run. It's just the most convenient all-in-one trimmer out there right now. So if you're looking to grow a beard, or maybe you're already a sexy lumberjack, Manscaped makes beard care easy for you. So go to manscaped.com and use the code BMOnus20 to get 20% off and free shipping. Once again, that is 20% off and free international shipping if you use the code BMOnus20 at checkout at manscaped.com. Once again, thank you to Manscaped for helping me shave my beard and my balls. Now, back to the show. So first off, as an American, I know you. You're not going to give a shit about any of the scrub teams. So any team in the bottom half of the Prem, I'm not even going to talk about them. And listen, all right, I can hear it. I can hear all your fans shouting at me right now. And this is my compromise, okay? For the teams that are currently in the 11th to 20th position, y'all get an A, okay? Y'all get an A as long as y'all survive. It's a pass or fail test from here on out, okay? That's it. But to make one exception, because it will be of particular American interest, let's give a little update for Leeds, United States of America. And for those unfamiliar, they're called as such because they have a real red-blooded American coach, Jesse Marsh, whom the British have dubbed as the Premier League version of Ted Lasso. They're also owned by Americans, so the 49ers actually have a majority stake in them. And they feature 2 American internationals, in Brendan Harrison and the captain of Team USA, Tyler Adams. And they opened the season red hot, so how are they looking now? Well, long story short, things aren't going well for IRL Ted Lasso. Yeah, after a couple cheeky wins at the start of the season, it's been 2 wins in the last 16. Not good. With Leeds hovering precariously just above the relegation zone. Many in the press and the terraces have grown impatient with the American. And much like Season 1 Ted Lasso, this has become a season of survival for Leeds United. Can they stave off relegation, or will they meet the same fate as AFC Richmond? But signs are still relatively hopeful. Jesse Marsh hasn't lost the dressing room, and they just broke their signing record on Georgino Rudder. So it would seem like he still got the backing of the board, and the owners being American probably doesn't hurt. They also scored one of the goals of the season this past week. Just wanted to show off this blinder. Gorgeous. But Jesse Marsh is living on the edge. A couple weeks from now, he easily could be out of a job, or they could be comfortably away from the drop zone. We just don't know. So it's kind of tough for me to go ahead and recommend you guys root for Leeds United States of America for the rest of the season. I, unfortunately, have to give them a grade of a D. And hey, even the worst case scenario, if Jesse Marsh gets canned, I just hope that it's in time so that we can get him as the new U.S. men's national team coach. Since supposedly, Berhalter is on the outs. Let's go, baby. I hope we kick him in the curb as hard as he kicked his wife. Also, Gio Reyna scored this beaut once he was back in action for Dortmund. Yeah, you see this? Apparently, Berhalter somehow couldn't fit this guy into the game plan for the World Cup. So if we're actually firing him, good riddance, I say. And also, if you have no clue about all this U.S. men's national team drama, I'm going to go ahead and recommend a video here by Zealand. It's a quality channel, video up the eye thing. But now, let's get into the big teams that have shit the bed this season. And first up, let's talk about Christian Pulisic's dumpster fire of a club, Chelsea. I know, The Todd Boehly era has gotten off to a rocky start, to say the least. Transition to power can always be a bit tricky. Just ask Brazil. But to make your life even more difficult, by completely clearing house in the front office and thinking you can do a better job with little to no European football experience, well, that reeks of arrogance and a special brand of American arrogance, which I usually love, just not in this case. Yeah, they started off the season firing the admittedly difficult to work with Thomas Tuchel and replaced him with Harry Potter. And less than half a season into his tenure, the results have been just as shit. Now, it doesn't help that the entire team breaks down more than a fiat, but ever since Roman Abramovich has sold the club, at every level of this team, it's been down arrow, down arrow, down arrow. So much so that the only thing Chelsea fans can cheer about these days is that they stole a transfer away from Arsenal. Really? This is what it's come to for Chelsea fans. From 2 years ago, winning the Champions League, to this. And now here they sit mid-season, rudderless, in 10th place. And with the new ownership living up to the worst American stereotypes, firing people who know what they're doing and throwing money at a problem, thinking that'll solve everything. So there's only one grade to give to this team, and that is a big, fat, stinky
Boom.
F. Not only has this been a horror season for Chelsea fans, what should keep them up at night is that with this new clueless ownership, this could be their new reality for many years to come. And as an assumed American who's new to the sport, I would stay away and pray that Christian Pulisic finds himself a new home relatively quick. Now, while we could kind of see the Chelsea downfall coming, no one could have predicted Liverpool being completely lost this season. Early on, you could blame it on injuries. But now that they're a bit healthier, it's becoming clear that they're just shit. Klopp, who's usually had the Midas touch in the transfer market, has put in a couple misses lately. Trending out Sadio Mane for Darwin Núñez has been almost as bad as Piqué's downgrade. New boy Gakpo was sparkling at the World Cup, but has been hot doo-doo since moving to Anfield. Now yes, like Chelsea, they've been injured a lot. Missing Luis Diaz and Diego Jota due to long-term injuries doesn't help. But the offense isn't their only problem. The heavy metal pressing, which has been a hallmark of Jurgen Klopp teams, just isn't working this year. And their defense has been comically bad, especially from set pieces. At every level of the team, save for Alisson, this team has issues. That has resulted in them toiling off in mid-table limbo. And you gotta remember, from less than a year ago, to be contending for a historic quad, to now looking lucky if they can even get a Europa League spot. This is a fall-off near French Montana levels. There is no other grade to give this team than
Boom.
A team with this much talent and quality, a generationally good coach, and a great front office. This shouldn't happen. It is shocking the difference a year makes. But I guess life comes at you fast, Liverpool fans. Then we have Spurs, who I hyped up in my preview video as a possible dark horse in the Premier League this season. And signs were all pointing up. By many accounts, they had won the transfer window, and they have one of the best mercenary managers in the world at their helm. It looked like all the stars were aligned for Tottenham to finally do something in the Premier League. And halfway through the season, it's just same old Spurs. It's just same old shit, just battling for the perpetual birthright, 4th place in the league. And I can go on about what has gone wrong, but I've wasted enough of your time gassing them up in my first video. They don't deserve anything else. Spurs gonna Spurs, okay? They're the Utah Jazz of the Premier League, and until they win something, I'm gonna treat them as such. They get a C, stuck in the purgatory of English football. But still gotta show love for my cousin Sonny. I'll see you at Lunar New Year Din Din. Then we have the surprise teams of the table. Brentford Bees, with their party-loving coach, has them dancing above Chelsea and Liverpool on the table. And Brighton have carried on just fine after losing the boy who lived to Chelsea. And then there's big ol' Mitro, hard-carrying Fulham to possibly a Europa League spot for next year. But maybe the biggest surprise of the season so far has been the terrifying rise of Newcastle. Now, many have pegged Newcastle as the team of the future, and that's because they got taken over by Big Daddy Oil Money, and the biggest oil daddy of them all, the Saudis. But the shocking part about this is all happening before the Crown Prince has even dropped off the check. They're mid-table when it comes to money spent on players in the league, and yet, over half a season in, they're in third above Manchester United, and only 6 points off their soon-to-be soft power rivals in Man City. Make no mistake, the money that the UAE and Saudi Arabia are going to pump into these clubs over the next decades will make even Jeff Bezos blush. And that is the most terrifying aspect about this Newcastle. They're doing all this before getting the Mbappes of the world. Now, their manager Eddie Howe has always been rated pretty highly. He's done a good job at taking underdog teams and having them punch above their weight. But what we didn't know is if you give him a mid-table team, he could apparently take them to third. And what he's done is transform Newcastle into a well-oiled, well-organized fortress, boasting one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league. Eddie Howe might be the first quality English manager in my lifetime. And while Haaland might be the most effective player in the league, the most exciting player to watch is surprisingly an ex-MLS product. Miguel Almiron, or Miggy as the Tune have dubbed him, has been playing like he's freaking Tex on string, just worldy after worldy, while lighting up the Tune with his million-watt smile. And at this point, if there's any American who's looking for a team to jump on the bandwagon before they go to the moon, it's Newcastle, 100%. Not even close. If I have two predictions of the future that I am 100% sold on, it's 1, Chainsaw Man is going to be the future of anime, and 2, Newcastle are the future of the Premier League. Because once that Saudi money hits their accounts, it's only a matter of time before the silverware follows. Remember, this is a country that bought the sport of golf. So even if the players they buy flop, they could just buy the refs. They don't care. They're gangster as f***. So I'm no fool. I'm giving Newcastle an A. Boom. And just to let you know, Newcastle will always get an A from me from here on out, because I'm not trying to get Khashoggi'd. Which leaves 3 of the big boys left to talk about. Well, really, the story of the season has been about 2 big teams. Yeah, recently Man United tried to poke their head into the title race, only to get smacked right back down. So let's get them out of the way first. And yes, I'm a dirty, filthy, disgusting Manchester United fan. So you know it must have been rough when I said at the start of the season that making top 4 with this team would have been a miracle. But goddammit, if Erik ten Hag might just be football Jesus. He might be that guy. Because every couple of years, we get the next great mind in football management. We saw it with Jurgen Klopp, and more recently with Thomas Tuchel. And the job that Erik ten Hag has done so far with Manchester United has been, quite frankly, absurd. This was supposed to be a rebuild season. Let me remind you that just a year ago, Manchester United experienced the worst season in their Premier League history. This is mostly that same team. But halfway through the season, not only are they ahead of schedule, the rebuild is moving at warp speed. And don't take my word for it, take it from Arsenal legend Thierry Henry. He said this after a recent match versus top-of-the-table Arsenal. He is a genius. Today, we saw a team with 3 years of development against a team with 6 months of development. Also a team with 1 week of rest against a team with 2 days of rest. Yet still, Man United went toe-to-toe, which for me was surprising. I thought Arsenal will be all over United from the kickoff, and United players would sit back, but I was wrong. United, in fact, had better control of the ball in the first half. You give 1 more year to Ten Hag and back him in the market, United will be a force to reckon with. No disrespect to Sir Alex, but if Ten Hag gets it right at United, they will play far more attractive football than they played under Sir Alex Ferguson. And that is coming from Thierry Henry after Manchester United lost. But he's pretty much got the same read as I do, that after inheriting a supposedly broken squad, having a mediocre transfer window, and then weathering the petulant storm that is Cristiano Ronaldo, he's got this Manchester United side comfortably 4th in the table, while delivering haymakers and actually beating Manchester City and giving Arsenal their only loss of the season. Now, it doesn't hurt that Marcus Rashford is in the current form of his life. And I just gotta show you this, because this is one of the goals that will be forgotten because they lost, but this was absolutely glorious. And then I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Casemiro. If it wasn't for Erling Haaland, he would be the signing of the season. He's the best defensive midfielder in the world at the moment. The man's ability to sniff out danger and kill it before it becomes an attack is supernatural. And at this point, the Brazilian could go back in time and kill baby Hitler, and I wouldn't be surprised. That's how good he is. So considering where this team was 12 months ago to where they are now, there is no other grade that I can give this team, my beloved team, than a sparkling A. Boom. The only reason why they're not getting an A+ is, despite bringing in Casemiro, they're quite lagging behind the rivals when it comes to the transfer market. And this team is still 1 to 2 years away. But once Erik ten Hag rebuilds his team in his image, Man United might just be back. And with that, let's move on to the 2-time defending champions and crosstown rivals, Manchester City. And you know what? I'm going to switch it up right here. I'm going to give their grade first. They get a B, okay? And I admit it, I'm grading on a curve because of how dominant they have been over the past 5 seasons. And then you go ahead and add a generational talent in Erling Haaland, the one position of weakness they had from the previous season, and combine that with Pep's genius, you would think that they would be running away with the league. But sitting half a season in, they're in 2nd place. Now, they could still go on and win the season. They've done it before, but I'm not grading them on their full season. This is a grade for their mid-season report card. And given their prior dominance, and Erling Haaland already matching the Golden Boot total from last year, winning the league should be the bare minimum for this side. And then I thought about it, right? I'll ask you this. How many players on Arsenal would get into City starting 11? Odegaard, probably Saka. And then ask yourself, who would you rather have? Mikel Arteta or Pep Guardiola? And then let me remind you that Arsenal's 2 big signings of this past summer were Man City cast-offs. They didn't even need them. Now that I thought about it more, I'm actually going to change the rating to a C. Because with this much talent, the coach they have, and the astronomical amount of money they spent, it's simply not good enough. They are a victim of their own success. And by their uber high standards, I cannot grade them any higher. Because honestly, for them, a B should be them leading the league, and an A is them running away with the league. Which they've done in the past before, might I remind you, with teams less talented than this. And to all the Man City fans watching this, I know you're probably only 14, so it's hard for you to conceptualize this. But you have to hold this team to a higher standard as well. Because the team that's above them in the table is not as talented as you. But god damn it, they're playing better than you. So let's talk about them. There's a story of the season. It's Arsenal. And yeah, it's just been a fairy tale for the lads in North London. No one could have predicted this, because they've been shit for so long. Not since the mid-2000s has this team been good. If they were to win the league this year, it would be like the Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. And this is wild because you gotta just rewind it back a year ago. It was a historically bad start for them last year. Mikel Arteta was on the hot seat multiple times, and that seat was ripping hot. Yet ownership trusted the process and allowed them to go through all the growing pains. And when they finally hit on a couple of the transfers, boom, Arsenal are atop of the goddamn Premier League. And at first we thought this was a mirage, but we're halfway through the season, and what we see on the pitch are a young, lovable, well-drilled side that plays sexually attractive football. They just don't lose. I mean, they did lose one game up against Man United, but honestly, they were the better team for most of that match. And I could wax poetic forever about how Odegaard looks like one of the best midfielders in the world, how Saka is a baby celestial on the wing. But much of the credit should be given to the once Pep Guardiola protege, Mikel Arteta. The simple story of this team is that at every level, they are playing as one, 100% bond to the system, the culture, and their coach, which has resulted in them becoming something larger than the sum of their parts. This is what team sports can show us sometimes. We didn't get to the top of the food chain because one dude was so awesome that he could kill a woolly mammoth. But as a group, we are the deadliest animal on the fucking planet. And that's what Arsenal is right now. Individually, they're not on the same level as a Man City. Hell, you could argue that even Spurs is more talented than this Arsenal side. But halfway through the season, we have Arsenal on top of the Premier League. They are the apex predator in the deadliest jungle on the planet. It's incredible. I don't even know if Arsenal Fan TV knows what to do with themselves. This has never happened since their inception. No. This is mid-season, okay? And they are still very, very young. One of the youngest teams in the Premier League. So there's always going to be questions if they can hold this sensational form. So let's not crown them just yet. But so far, so good. So there is no other grade to give them mid-season than an A+. I am rooting for them to win it all. And not only because I hate Manchester City, but because I find it physically difficult to see reasons to hate this team. They're so goddamn likable. And maybe in the future they start winning everything and become the villains, but that's then. I'm talking about for now, I just want to see how this fairy tale ends. And that's gonna be my mid-season report card on the Premier League. Obviously, a lot can still happen, so if you want to be kept up to date, I'll be doing monthly updates about the Premier League until the end of the season, so turn on notifications for that. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, smash the nipple on the like button. Did I get my takes right, or am I a dumbass? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, thank you to all my patrons. Keep me alive, keeping these videos coming. And I'll be back next week with a little bit of a switch up. I'll be talking about America's version of the World Cup. Yes, a clueless guide to the Super Bowl. But until then, as always, America.